let's talk about games as a service. And you may be wondering, why are you guys talking about that? Well, this week it was announced that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be a games as a service, or as we understand common terminology, a live service game. And Mike, you and I were talking about it. You brought up, is this something that we need to talk about? I see a lot of people upset about this. And I said to you, here's exactly what I said verbatim. I said, it feels like games as a service are like the black sheep of games in some ways, yet they also have some of the most popular titles. So I figured we could take the time now to dive into why we think that is, whether or not it deserves that, and, go into some of our favorite potentially live service games. Just to kick it off, um, you know, when talking about boasting some of the best, I mean, World of Warcraft is probably, I'm gonna guess, one of the first to do this, to be this concept of a game. And then you just look at like Fortnite, right? Like one of, if not the most popular game in games. Everybody knows what Fortnite is and has probably played it at some point. And then like Genshin Impact, also really up there in terms of popularity. Has this like huge following. Anytime something comes out about it, it's like Taylor Swift released a new song. Um, People just go crazy. I think, to again kick it off, the reason why these games get a bad rap is because of loot boxes or season passes and the like gotcha type microtransactions that aren't necessary necessarily. Yet you feel a certain drive to get them. Again, not forced or anything. You don't need them to unlock content. More often than not, I want to say they're cosmetic. But nonetheless, I think the feeling around loot boxes and season passes and microtransactions in general is it automatically makes a game sleazy. Um, and I don't know if that's necessarily always the case. The thing I'll say is that I feel like a games as a service or a live service game is, if you do it bad, you are the worst company ever. I'm looking at Anthem. But if you do it good and you do it really well, nobody praises you necessarily for being a great live service game. It's more so just that's a good game and that's it. It never goes beyond that. So it's the worst of the worst if you're a live service game and you do it bad because you're a piece of shit, you do microtransactions, you're just trying to make a quick buck. But when you're World of Warcraft or Fortnite or games like that, nothing's said about the fact that you're a live service game. Nobody turns up their nose to you because you're a live service game, because you've done it so well. You just don't do anything good for like the brand, we'll say. And that's what
It
that's my thoughts.
I mean, I think that's the perfect way to put it because it feels like getting labeled a live service or a game as a service is like a scarlet letter.
Hmm.
Because, we're trying to figure out if this was something we were gonna talk about this week, and we were thinking about live service games, and I'm like, "What games are technically that?" And, like, Fortnite was not the first thing that came to mind, but that is the poster child of live service games, and I think it's just because they've done it so well, and they've been successful with it, that it doesn't feel like slander to call it live service. Um, kind of the same with Destiny.
Hmm.
And I don't play a ton of live service games. Destiny 2, games I wish I would have gotten more into. Like that's a series that I feel like I will have FOMO in a couple of years. Um but then yeah, you get into like I feel like the highest tier of sleaziness is like pay to win. And I kind of feel like that's where people think Suicide Squad is gonna go.
Right.
And I guess to backtrack, the only reason people are saying that Suicide Squad is going to be live service is because there was a screenshot on 4chan that had a tab for Battle Pass.
Right.
And, a lot of people jump to that conclusion, but my question is, do you consider like uh Halo Infinite a live service game or a game as a service?
Right. No, and that's like a great point. Like the way I see Suicide Squad is I see it being like the Division, right? It's a game you can play completely on your own, but also and the cool thing about it is and you're going to have to correct me on this because I never played Ghost Recon on my own, but could you swap to cuz when you play Ghost Recon by yourself, you have three other people with you, but when you play like when you and I would play, it was just the two of us. We didn't have like two AI with us. Could you
Yeah.
control those three AI?
You could not play as them. You
Okay.
could get them into position and like you could line up a sync shot.
Okay.
But
So
you could not like play as them like in GTA 5.
right, okay, okay. Um so the way it seems is that if you play the Suicide Squad game on your own, there's what? There I think there's four of them. It's like Harley Quinn, the guy who's a shark, the guy who throws a boomerang, and I don't know, Deadshot. I don't know names of DC heroes.
I don't either.
But regardless, right? You can swap around as you're like battling. And I'm trying to think of another game recently that's come out that's like that. When you play online, apparently that won't be the case. But again, the online, I don't think there's any PvP. Like it's all I think just you playing. And so if anything, like the battle pass idea seems to be the way I'm picturing it and thinking about it, it actually seems like a potentially good thing for the game because it hopefully means that they'll be adding in like missions for you to go do. And there's got to be a reason if they're putting out a battle pass. There's got to be a reason for you to keep coming back to the game because nobody's just going to come back
Right.
for a battle pass and just like replay old stuff. Like hopefully it means that means they're going to just keep putting in like new missions, new stuff like that. So I don't necessarily see that as this like awful nail in the coffin. And I don't necessarily I mean, I guess sure, it could be pay to win in the sense that like you have an easier time playing the game, but like pay to win only seems like a bad thing to me if it's PvP. I have no issue with somebody paying 20 additional dollars to beat a final boss if that's what they want to do, right? Like so be it. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but it's like the whole idea of like Sifu or Metroid adding an easy mode. It doesn't affect you. You still can play the game however it is you want to play it. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, like, would you think differently of like The Last of Us, for example, if they had a battle pass and if you within the 30 days killed like 100 clickers or something like that, you got a special rifle that you couldn't pick up in game, and it's not necessarily better than any other weapon you could get. It's just something different. Like, would you be upset by that?
Um but it's yeah, like I feel like that's different because the Suicide Squad game is going to be open world. And it's hard to picture a game that's linear having a battle pass. Because how do I go back and kill clicker? Like I have to like load into a chapter and kill clickers.
Yeah,
You know what I
true,
mean?
true. I guess I don't know.
But to your point, do I care? No. Like now I have that rifle if I do a new game plus and I can start with it and f some shit up with it. Sure,
hmm
who cares? Doesn't
I
matter.
I get that it feels sleazy, but I think there's a good balance. Like Fortnite, for example,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I think you can play Fortnite without the battle pass and still enjoy it. It's basically just like a swag thing at the end of the day. It's not like you're getting anything that's gonna help you.
But also, and correct me if I'm wrong, um, with Fortnite, don't you earn enough in-game currency back to buy the next battle pass technically if you were to complete a battle pass? Isn't that how it
Uh,
works? Or no?
I don't think so.
Okay, so
Um,
then if that's not the case, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online did that. There was a battle pass. It cost in-game currency. It didn't cost real money. It cost in-game currency. That it was the in-game currency you could pay real money to get, right? But it was the gold nuggets. It cost that to buy the battle pass. But if you completed the battle pass, you got like say it was 50 gold. I don't know what it actually was. But if you completed the battle pass, you probably got like 70 gold because gold was also used to like upgrade certain things. So like you earned enough and then like a little bit. It was like an investment if you knew you were going to complete it. And like I thought that was a really good system
yeah, I agree. That's a really good implementation.
because at worst, the first time you did it, you'd maybe have to pay money, but you could earn gold just in game too. So like you could just save up and like struggle for a bit, right, until you got there, and then do it. And struggle is not like a good word because I don't want to make it seem like it completely turned it on to easy mode or whatever. But like it was a grind, we'll say for
Mhm.
sure. But like you could still do it and get there naturally, and then from there on, like you could keep funding it just by playing the game. And I think that's a great implementation of it to like keep you in the game and keep you playing. And then the other thing with that battle pass or that season pass or whatever you want to call it is that there was like the free tier. So like even if you didn't buy it, like one out of every 4 levels, like you would still level it up all the way. One out of every 4 levels, you would get the benefit from the pass. It was just if you wanted to unlock everything from 1 to 50 or 1 to 100, whatever it was, you needed to pay the gold. And I thought that was great. I loved that.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense because, like, I feel like at the end of the day, you as the game studio should be like just trying to incentivize people to play your game, and like you know, every quarter or whenever you do a season in quotes, like you're not gonna be able to put that much time commitment into a game, but you still want to have that experience. Like, okay, you have the option to pay to stay caught up, but it's not like you have to do that. You could put in the time and effort reasonably to advance.
Hmm.
I think that's a good implementation.
So I mean, at the end of the day, we're not going to know exactly what the implementation is. But I said it at the top. It's the live service, games as a service, whichever you want to call it, is 100% the like term that people turn their nose up to.
Hmm.
Sometimes free to play falls into this because I would say most free to play games end up becoming live service games as well, with the idea of like the game's free to play, we expect to make money off of like microtransactions. Um, but do you think that they deserve to be uh, immediately tied to this negative connotation simply for the fact that some of I'll say the biggest flops of recent memory were live service games.
I I think it kind of goes back to our last conversation, um, about game studios trying to fit a certain business model. Like, it's shown that some games as a service, games with microtransactions, and live service games, whatever you want to call them, are wildly successful.
Hmm.
I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of respect if you're trying to chase that golden goose without having a good product. I mean, there are plenty of shitty games that are put out there that are live service just
So
for the sake of having a live service game.
so is the problem that people see live service as like the way to make a quick buck and they exploit it and like it's I'll say like the genre or like the type that gets exploited the most easily? Is that why it gets the bad rap?
Yeah, and I don't think the community is stupid. I think the community sees right through it. Because, like, Think about the implementations that would be really good. We've talked about it a million times. Every sports game ever should be a live service game. You
Agreed.
should it should be a free to play game and you should pay however many dollars. Let's just, even 20 to $30 a year to get updated rosters, updated stats, whatever. Like that would be an excellent implementation. And like for me personally, I didn't buy Madden 23 because it's just not worth the $60 to me. If it were, a free to play game with a $30 update every year, I'd have it on auto renew and wouldn't even think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's guaranteed money, recurring year over year. So it works out both ways. I get an updated game that's not like me. I'm literally looking at my shelf and I have a fucking copy of Madden 16 and a copy of Madden 17 on my shelf. And that's not including the copy of Madden 15 I have downloaded to my PS5 or PS4. It's like, why do I need these? I'm
Right.
never going to play them again. I can't sell them for anything.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like any new technology. We need to get past this point of shitty money grabs
Crypto.
and actually give it some utility.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. And I look, you had me when you said sports games should be a live service game. Um yeah, I think it's unfair. I think like yeah, it's the one that's easiest to exploit and that's shitty. Um and I guess it is fair to your like you said like, you know, the community's not stupid, right? Like people know and people are I guess right to be skeptical. Um but in this instance especially if we're gonna bring it back around to why we're even talking about it in the first place, which is the fact that Suicide Squad, a leaked image, showed that it's most likely going to be that. I just don't
And
see
people immediately compared it to Avengers,
right.
which I didn't play that game, so I don't really know why, but I'm assuming it's not good.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I think there was a lot of stuff that went wrong, but I know plenty of people have said that like the game's still good, the game's still fun. It's fine. Like it just, wasn't great. It didn't, perfectly deliver on what people were hoping for. And so blame it on it being a game as a service. It was lazy. They were trying to do a money grab, blah, blah, blah. Right. Um, I don't know. It'll be interesting because again, it's not PvP. As far as I'm aware, it's not PvP. The only multiplayer is you can play the entire game with somebody else, up to 3 other people. I think Gotham Knights is Gotham Knights out? Holy shit. I think it is. It is. Wow. So I think it's like Gotham Knights in that sense, where it's like you can play it all by yourself, or you can play it with up to 3 other people. Um, I just look at this and I'm just like, I don't necessarily see how a battle pass ruins this game. Um, but I can understand the skepticism.
Yeah.
I can understand being worried. I can understand thinking, are they gonna not have enough content or something early on? Uh, because of these grandiose plans to continue adding content, and it doesn't sell well enough early on that they just decide, we're gonna give up on it and be Anthem. Don't mind me, gonna buy Anthem standard edition on my PS5 for $2.
Pretty sure it's on Game Pass, so when you do that, let me know. And we'll have the conversation of is it crossplay or
Okay.
not.
um Final thoughts. What? What's the moral of the story? It's okay to be skeptical, but don't immediately assume a live service game is going to be bad. Keep in mind that some of your favorite battle royales are all considered live service games. GTA Online is live service. Elder Scrolls Online is live service.
Right.
Uh,
At the end of the day, this game could be Destiny 2.
is No Man's Sky live service?
I think it's considered live service now because it's actively updated
Right? There's no mic.
with
Are
new
there
content.
microtransactions in No Man's Sky though?
I don't know. There weren't 10 years ago when it came out, but
But I mean, again, like,
I'm sure there's got to be.
and look,
It
a
makes
game,
sense.
a game starting off bad. What is is it Miyamoto who said it? Apologies if I'm naming the wrong person, but like a rushed game is bad forever, but a game, I'm butchering the quote, but you get what I'm saying. A live service game that doesn't have content at the start, it's hard to recover from that.
Mhm.
And that's that. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, that is shame on the company. And it does then end up feeling like, oh, they were just trying to screw us over. They were just trying to do a money grab, all this other stuff. But you look at games that, you know, took the time to do the work to get to a point, and I'm specifically at this point talking about No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk. And if you give the chance, something special can still happen. Cyberpunk's not a live service game, but the sentiment is still there.
Mhm.
And I think a live service game, if anything, has more potential to make up for lost time because it should be constantly updating. It's not an easy task or an easy decision to make. Um, you know, I feel like it's tough to do a quick money grab on a live service game unless you're really good and then also decide to shut down within like a year. But that never happens. Only bad ones shut down right away. And the good ones that make tons of money and stuff are
Are
actually
around for
good,
10 years.
right? They're actually good. They executed well, so you don't care. And that goes back to my original thing. Like a bad one is the worst thing to ever happen, and it's why games as a service suck. But a good one is just a good video game. Let's not talk about what, you know, it falls under in terms of like style of game.